Hey guys, it is almost 1 a.m. and I'm staying in a house with some friends and everybody else is sleeping. So I'm going to be speaking at a pretty low volume here tonight, and this video is probably going to be pretty short, but I never quite know when I start recording these. It has been quite a week. I am in Palm Springs right now on a bit of an impromptu vacation, I guess. I'm still getting work done while I'm here, but mainly taking some, or have been taking some days off, and tomorrow being Monday, or technically today, I'll be back to work in some cases, but I'm not really sure what to talk about in this video, and I apologize that it's officially late. It's no longer Sunday here, but it was really important for me to prioritize myself because this past week has been really challenging for me on a number of levels, one of which I'm not really ready to talk about, but and the other main thing that happened, I feel like things need to develop a little bit more before I can discuss them. I don't mean to be vague, but I also like to clue you in as much as possible to what's going on in my life, and before I kind of publicly talk about things, I think it's important to kind of let them all get figured out. But I wanted to let you know where I'm at right now. It's hard to say, to be honest. I feel very grateful that I've taken time off and I'm out here in a new place. Sometimes it's so important when things are challenging to kind of remove yourself from situations and get some space, get some distance, get a new perspective on things. And being in a new environment can really help you make things clear. But to be honest, I've been so focused on just kind of having fun that I haven't really taken a lot of time to reflect on things. So I'll tell you a little bit about the things I've been doing here. You can, of course, always get the perspectives on Snapchat to see all the little tidbits that are happening throughout my day. But I came here on Thursday night, and then, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which just ended, has just been a lot of relaxing, a lot of eating. Definitely been eating. Food's been tough for me lately. I'll say that. I'm not feeling really great in my body right now, and in a way that's good because I'm doing this series on the main Eco Vegan Gal channel. I don't know if you've seen. That's all about getting the body that you want, feeling your best, eating healthy, living healthy, and all of that. So every day I've been reading about health and the body and getting into shape, losing weight, all these different things. But because I've been having so much fun and kind of on vacation, I've been eating differently than it would be ideal. And it's so interesting. I don't know if any of you face this, but I think for me it's especially tough. I have two big challenges when it comes to food, maybe more than two, but my two most notable ones is I have a history of an eating disorder, and my relationship with food has been complex so much in my life. And so sometimes, in the past when I did have the eating disorder, I would deal with that by purging. And what's interesting is I've healed a lot from that emotionally, but I still have the familiar feeling of kind of like that binge and purge. I wouldn't say that I binge. I've never really been a big binger, but I'm one of those people that'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna eat that. It's okay, not worry about it. And then a couple hours later, I won't feel very good, and I'll kind of regret having eaten the food. And now I'm not at a point where I don't regret it nearly as much as I used to when I had the disorder, but I still just struggle with this feeling. It's like an emotional weight, and it's this sense of I don't know. I don't even know if I would call it guilt. It's just part of me is going I wish I had made different choices. So it's been very helpful for me to read books about how to make different choices. I'm reading a really great one right now, which I'll be sharing about on the main channel on Wednesday, so stay tuned if you can relate to this at all. I found so much healing through reading books that have great guidance on these topics. So they're very helpful for me, but it's still a challenge in terms of like that self-control, and I kind of put that in quotations because I think that there's a fine line between like being too strict, restrictive, having that self-control, and also just like enjoying your life and food and all of that, which I've been doing. So every day has just kind of been like a bit of a balancing act, and I think maybe that's the thing I can most benefit from in terms of reflection, is reflecting every day on like, how do I feel about what I ate? I feel emotionally good. If you've been following on Snapchat, I've been having some amazing food, and most of it has been homemade, but it's been very rich, and been making a bunch of different splurges. What was the other challenge I was going to say about that? Oh, my food sensitivities have been kind of flaring up a lot too. So it's like my body's trying to like tell me in so many ways, emotionally and physically, that what I'm eating isn't ideal. And I guess I'm sure I'll have even more perspective on this in hindsight, but I'm sure that I'm kind of like eating a little bit based on my emotions because of how much stress I've had in the past week. And I think what's interesting is, because I've had a lot of issues with depression and stress and anxiety throughout my life, I've learned a lot of ways to deal with it. And because so much of my career is based on health and happiness, I have so many tools at my disposal to help work through things like this. But I still have a long way to go with it, I still have all of these little battles, and so I think it's wonderful when you can recognize when you're doing things like eating out of stress, eating because your emotions. I think recognizing that you have a problem or a challenge or an opportunity to grow through something is step number one. And then it comes down to finding ways to make things work for yourself. So, and then also being forgiving, I've only been out here for 3 days. So the effects of eating this way are not that extreme. It's just that typically because of my food sensitivities, like my body reacts to food very quickly. So within like a matter of hours, my body will get inflamed, my digestion will be thrown off, I'll have allergies, I'll have itchy skin, I'll have all sorts of flare-ups from food. So I don't know, in a way it's kind of like putting more stress on myself because of the emotional guilt and because of the physical symptoms I've had, from eating things like soy and corn and sugar and, higher amounts of fat and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I guess this is my opportunity to reflect on it, because honestly I wasn't thinking much about it until I started recording this video. So that's what happens sometimes. I would love to hear any of your own personal experiences with this, and it's not really a matter of needing advice. I think it's just a matter of me reflecting on it and holding myself accountable. I actually had a really great talk earlier today with my friend, and we were discussing what it takes for people to make changes in their life and how we can come up against resistance and roadblocks. And I was equating it to actually my resistance to coming out here. My friend had invited me out to Palm Springs, I think since like December, like at least 6 months, maybe a little bit more. And I liked the idea of coming out here, but for whatever reason it seems like such an obstacle. And for those of you who don't know, Palm Springs is like 2 hours away from Los Angeles. It's through a drive, even less if you fly, so it's really not that big of a trip. But it was, the obstacles in my way were not knowing much about this area, so it's kind of like that fear of the unknown. The obstacle was like coming out here and coordinating the travel, even though it's not that big of a deal. For me, it's a bit of a challenge because I have an electric car and I can only go so far with my car. So whenever I have to go beyond the range of my car, I have to rent a car or I have to carpool or whatever else. And sometimes that gives me anxiety. It seems like such a simple thing. It's just hard for me. I don't know why. So that was kind of getting in my way. And then for me, it was like the schedule. Like I kept thinking of reasons that my schedule would get in the way. And fortunately, because of the challenges, the stresses of this past week, I kind of hit this breaking point where I was invited one more time to come out here. And my friend offered me a ride, and I finally was like, I'm going to let go of any reason not to come to Palm Springs, and I'm just going to go. So we were talking about this today, and it sounded so much like any obstacle that people face. And suddenly I felt like I was able to put myself in the shoes of people that are having trouble trying anything new. Sometimes we know something can be good for us. Sometimes we know something's going to be fun, beneficial in any way. But if we haven't experienced that, or if we have any sort of like triggers around the path to it, it gets in our way. So we take Palm Springs, like from Los Angeles to Palm Springs. I knew Palm Springs was fun, but simply the road, the literal road to Palm Springs seemed like such a barrier. And in addition to that, I was afraid that it would cost a lot of money to be out here. I was afraid that I would get off my schedule. And to be honest, I have been spending more than I'd like to out here, and my schedule has been a bit thrown off, but I guess that the anticipation of that I would feel bad about it and have all these consequences, none of those have happened. So sometimes we imagine the consequences of our actions being so much worse than they actually are. And so we put up all these walls. We say, I'd like to do that, but I'm afraid of the consequences. I'd like to do that, but I'm not really sure how to get there. Or I know how to get there, but it seems like it's going to be uncomfortable to get there. This seems like it's going to be hard to get there. So you can think of this in so many ways. Like this can just be a giant metaphor for, let's just say, improvements to your health or your diet. It's oftentimes just taking that first step, or it's oftentimes just braving the journey to get there and experiencing it and realizing not only is it not as hard as you might imagine or as scary as you might imagine, but it has so many perks to it. And it's just kind of taking that leap. But it's also helpful when you have someone to help you. My computer's shaking a little bit because Evie's scratching herself. For me, what made coming to Palm Springs easy was I had the encouragement of a friend, and my friend offered to give me a ride out here, and this friend started to remove all the obstacles. My friends made this very comfortable experience. Like, it's been amazing. I'm so grateful. And even though the friend's been there all along, it just took a little bit more push. But in my specific situation, it also took a hardship. So sometimes hardships are what put us into a position where we're willing to change. And I guess the big question is, if that hardship is not there, how do you make a change? How do you try something for the first time? It's so easy. It's easier said than done. And this experience has taught me to re-examine some things within myself personally, but also use this as a greater metaphor and a greater lesson for helping other people make changes. It's recognizing how important it is to have support. That's been just a huge, huge part of my work and something that I've been building. And maybe I'll start working on that tomorrow. I don't know. There's been this big project that I've wanted. In fact, speaking of getting off schedule, my Facebook Live videos have been so off schedule. I didn't do any last week. I think I talked about them here on this channel. But you know what? There's no consequences. That's the other thing. It's like I put so much pressure on myself. I see other people putting so much pressure on themselves, but really, like, life is not a race, we often treat it like it's a race. We often treat it like there's some prize for having everything perfect. We treat life as this whole big picture of the things that we've accomplished, and then versus the things that have gone wrong. And like for this past week, it was just hard. It was challenging on so many levels, but here I am sitting in Palm Springs having an amazing time, surrounded by great friends and with my wonderful dog and talking to you. And I think it's so important to just take these moments to reflect on what to be grateful for and not be so concerned with everything going as planned. Even like this whole week, if it's taught me anything, is that like sometimes what path you think that you're going to be on, like things can be completely thrown off course, and the biggest opportunity is how you handle it and how you course correct, or what new path you choose. So in a way, the things that got thrown off this week, I'm kind of grateful because they're pointing me in new directions, and I have to use this as an opportunity to say, all right, there's probably something better there for me. I wasn't meant to go in those directions. So lots and lots of lessons learned here with my health, with my career, with many aspects of my personal life, and just the bigger picture of life. So if anything that I've inspired in you today, or lessons that I'm sharing with you, is that to do everything with as much grace as you possibly can. Take it moment by moment. Reflect on what's going on in your life and how can you learn from it? How can you grow better? And how can you learn not to be upset with what you did wrong or what went wrong in your life? How can you look at things with gratitude? And how can you use any of those obstacles in your life as guidance towards a stronger you and a better future? Like I've always thought with most of my challenges in my life, I feel like so much of my life is about helping other people. And every time I go through a challenging time and I learn from it, I feel grateful because I'm able to help other people. I'm able to relate, so much that I've struggled with my body image. Without all these struggles, I don't think that I would be able to talk about food and lifestyle and dieting and weight loss and all that stuff without these challenges. Same thing with the challenges in my careers, with all the coaching and consulting and classes that I do around that. I've learned so much, and every time things get hard, they also get better, just in a different way. So I guess that's it for today. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm sorry that this video is on the later side, but I was spending quality time with friends, and I was also watching the season finale of Game of Thrones, which was quite spectacular. As I mentioned, I think in the last video, if any of you are Game of Thrones fans, let me know. And as usual, I would love to hear from you and whatever you want to comment on. If you can relate to struggles with food in your body, if you can relate to, turning challenges into opportunities, if you can relate to the obstacles that you can face with trying something new for the first time. Well, I guess if you're trying something new, it is the first time, but trying something new that is good for you, but still having resistance. I would love to hear from you on that. Whatever you want to say, I would like to hear from you in the comments. Alright, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next weekend. Until then, hope to see you on Snapchat. Links down below. Bye.